instead of saying, "Oh God, not me. I'm more shy. I'm this and this and that," and trying to downplay stuff. And I realized that, okay, but if God is calling you to do something, then you need to do it.
Welcome to Creatively by Estelle, a podcast for creative and performing artists. My name is Estelle Adaeze, and I'm your host. Whether you're just starting or you're a pro, this show will help you feel inspired and motivated every single week along your creative journey, and will give you tactical tools and tips for fulfilling your creative goals and your God-given purpose as a creative person. You have gifts to give, so let's do this. Let's live creatively, and let's get into the episode. Hey everyone, welcome back to the show. Thank you for being here. I'm so happy that you are listening today, especially because this episode, oh my gosh, I'm so excited about it. I got to interview Beverly Adaeze. She is this hilarious comedian. She's a host and she is a content creator. She creates these hilarious skits and videos on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And she also just shares her life. She shares her travels. She shares things that she's learning. She shares her journey as a Christian and her faith. She's so open, and that's why it's so easy to connect with her. And she was really just the same online as like in person as she was online, which is just a testament to her authenticity and how genuine she is and how sincere she is as a person. And which we talk about a lot in this episode. We talk about she talks about being authentic online and how she's able to remain herself and really have boundaries for herself, and how she's able to create the content that she does online and still be herself in the entire process of being this huge content creator. And so you're going to learn so much from her, especially as a creative, and wherever you are in your creative journey. I think you're going to learn a lot from her. She talks about hearing from God and listening to the Spirit of God and letting that lead her as a creative. And she talks about how she was able to choose, her creative path, and how she's been able to really blaze her own path as a creative person, in her own way, led by God, led by the Spirit of God, and how she's been able to really embrace her gifting. So you're going to learn a lot. I learned a lot. I'm so excited to share this with you. I also want to let you know that at the end of the episode, I'm going to read out an answer that she gave me to one of your questions. I put up a question on my story, on my Instagram story, before a couple weeks ago, before this episode, before the interview, and one of you went ahead and submitted a question. And so she answered that question for me through email. So I'm going to read that at the end of the episode. So make sure you stick around for that really great question and a great answer that she has. And I think that you're really going to be just inspired by her story, as she talks about how she became and is continuing to become who she is as a creative, and how God has led her so far. So get ready to be inspired, to be motivated, to have a couple laughs. And I hope you enjoy this episode. If you do, make sure that you go ahead and follow Beverly on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube, subscribe to all the things. All her links will be in the show notes. Make sure you go and support her because she's amazing. She's a great creator and a great person. And I know that you are going to want to be in her space. Okay. And if you love the episode, screenshot it, repost it on your Instagram stories, and make sure you tag her and tag me as well so we can see it and reshare it, and we'll all share the love together. Okay. So yeah. All right. Let's get into the episode. Without further ado, the incredible, the sweet, the sincere Beverly Adaeze. Real quick, before we continue with the episode, I want to let you know that if you're a creative person who wants to share your creative gift or whatever you're passionate about with other people and create an online community, a podcast is an amazing way to do it. And you can start a podcast today with Anchor by Spotify. It's such an easy way to make a podcast. Trust me. I'm not a tech person and I did it. So if I can do it, honey, you can too, okay? Anchor has tools to allow you to record and edit your podcast from your phone or your computer.
and you can host on Anchor, and it will distribute your podcast to platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more. So you don't have to worry about, uploading your podcast to all these different sites. And it's everything that you need to make a podcast in one place. And it's 100% free. So there you go. Let's go. Start your podcast, create your online community, download the Anchor app, or go to anchor.fm to get started today. All right, without further ado, let's continue.
All right. Hey, Beverly. I'm with Beverly Adaeze. I'm so excited to be talking with you today. You are a content creator, you're a host, you're a comedian, you're hilarious, and you're beautiful as well. And you share all your content on like traveling and styling your hair. And I just am so inspired by you. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. I cannot complain. I'm a little tired. I got up from my nap not too long ago, but I'm good. I'm good.
I mean, a nap though, like you'll feel tired for the first few seconds, and then like over time, you're like, oh, that was so worth it. So I'm glad you got it.
My mornings are pretty busy, so I get up usually around like 6:25, and then I do like an intense workout. And so when I come back, once I put food in my stomach, and it take like, and then I get up and finish the rest of my day before I go back to bed again.
Yeah. Wow. Busy, busy, busy. And you're busy doing so many cool things. You're traveling and you're taking us along with you. And it's just all so cool. I love your content. I think one of the first videos that I saw that you did was when actually I know exactly which one it was. It was when you were dressed up as like you're in your African auntie outfit and you were just sweeping. You were like, when your parents have toiled and worked so hard to immigrate to this country, and then
Oh,
at the very end it like cut to like, and then this is what the children do, and it was like these boys dancing.
oh, that means you're new. You're a newbie.
I am a newbie. I am a newbie.
Apologies go way back.
Yeah, I'm a newbie, but don't worry, I've definitely done my stalking. Like I've gone back, I've gone through many like trails of like, oh, let me look and see like all this other content that Beverly has done because it's so funny. Yeah, it's so good. I would love to know about your start because like I say a lot on this show that every creative has a journey, like everyone has a journey and a path. And I would just love to know how you've gotten to where you are now, like creating all this cool content, being so you're hilarious naturally in person.
Thank
Um
you.
and then and not just hilarious, but also really kind and also just very refreshingly genuine and authentic, which I feel like everyone can see in your videos too. So, like, how did you come to be who you are? This beautiful Naija goddess, but also like this hilarious comedian and creator.
Thank you, girl. Let me see. When it comes to content, to be honest with you, I really started doing it. If you would have told me this is what I'd be doing maybe like 5 years ago, I'd be like, yeah, much don't pray. But it's funny how God works. So I did a little bit of content recording when I was in college.
Hmm.
Not content isn't posting on social media, but we had African student organizations, which you probably you have your ASA, ASO, and I don't know. I just love the idea of like thinking of a skit and then like writing it down and then bringing it to life. So when I graduated, I was like, oh, I kind of want to, I just had an idea. I was like, oh, let me put it out there. But at the time, I wasn't really posting on my personal page. I was more focused on my business. But I was like, let me just throw something out there because I enjoyed doing it. And I did, and it did pretty well. It did pretty well. I think at the time maybe I was at like 2K followers, and these were like college friends, people from that you kind of grew up with,
Yeah.
and extras just followed. But I really the pandemic was really what like spiked it. Now I was getting maybe like 500 likes, things like that, and that's pretty good for a content creator. But when TikTok happened, or really when the pandemic happened, it just gave me time to sit and just think because remember we couldn't work for like 8 weeks. Well, at least I couldn't work for 8 weeks. Some people were it was longer, and so it just gave me time to think. And girl, I was putting it out like hotcakes. And at first I was like, I don't want to get a TikTok because that's for those little children. I don't have time. I can't be. My knees don't work like that. I can't be dancing all these children dance. But it's really been a blessing. I will say. So it's fun to create. It really is.
Yeah. Yeah, and I love what you said about how if you had told if someone had told you 5 years ago that this is what would have been happening, which I feel like we could all say the same thing about because of the pandemic and because of COVID, like
Mm-hmm.
literally who could have foreseen this and who could have known that it would have lasted this long? But at the same time, like it's been so painful, but also there have been so many gifts, and like what has happened for you, I feel like is definitely a gift. Like it's just crazy how God can make, anything
Mm,
um, out of nothing, right?
right. And I think for me, it's like, it's funny. I was thinking about this maybe like 2 nights ago. And a lot of times we think about our futures and we have our own plans, and we have, okay, how we would want it to go. Because I remember when I was in college, I was even stressing out about, okay, Medfield, and I got to be done by this time, and then I got to pop out babies at this time, and all these things. And girl, we make our plans, but God laughs, because who would have? Right, this time I should be in residency or getting out of residency, whatever the doctors are doing. But that was just not my path. And
Yeah.
when I tell you, I'm not mad at it. It's a noble profession and it's important, but it wasn't me. And I'm so glad that God just has allowed me to use my gift in this way. African parents won't understand, but it's not for them to understand. It's okay. And so yeah, girl, God is good. I can't complain.
Yeah. Ah, that's so good. I There was so much that you said. I talked to one of my friends that I interviewed. Actually, he's an actor in LA, and he's Nigerian as well. And we talked about like, him getting into the arts as well, and like I think, and he very much was in the same way like you, like in the same way that you said it. He was just like, this is just who I am, and you just have to kind of you kind of just have to accept yourself as you are and be like, that's not me, this is me, and I'm just going to say it confidently, like, this is me, I'm an actor, this is what I do, it's what I love to
Mhm.
do. And of course
Right.
he works hard, and he's thriving in that. But it's so inspiring for me, and I'm sure a lot of other people to see, especially a woman of color, and especially someone who's Nigerian, who's African, thriving in the creative field, using their gifts, like you said, which what you have and what you're doing, it is a gift, and you're using it, and so that's awesome. I love to see that. Love that.
You
Yeah.
know, it doesn't. I'm not saying that I wouldn't have been a bomb doctor. And you know what? It's never too late. If I decide I want to do it, I can do it. I think I'm one of those individuals that's like, listen, this life is short.
Mm.
If God has put something on your heart, if you want to go for it, go for it. Well, I can even be a pilot in the next 5 years. You don't know. It just depends. It is
Right. You'll be making all
so.
your patients laugh, and you'll be making all the airplane passengers laugh too. So
Let me tell you, my parents, they wanted me to be a doctor, but let me tell you, you know that laughter is medicine. So I'm
it
giving out
is.
daily prescriptions, and what I'm saying, I'm giving them out on social media to thousands of people. So in a sense, I'm,
Mm-hmm.
gonna, I'm just kidding.
Wow. Honestly, okay, she's a laughing laughter. Laughter is the best medicine, right? That's the quote. Yeah, laughter is the best
That's
medicine.
I'm not giving them the great value. I'm giving them the best one. So
Right.
you should be
Right.
really happy.
Awesome. Yeah, it's true, and I think one other aspect of that is that not only are you, like I said, like you're not only making people laugh, but you're a stand for what's possible, and like it is medicine to see people being themselves. It is medicine to see people using their gifts. It is medicine to see people being creative and like standing in their creative um gifts and being confident in that. Like that's medicine to me, because it's like it feels healing. It's like this is possible, and
Right.
and it's beautiful. So yeah, I would.
I do.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I do think for me with my social media, it was really important for me to just be myself.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't label my page as a comedy page, as a sketch page. I just say, hey, this is my personal page, and this is what I choose to share with the world. And so, I also didn't want to put myself into that box of only being expected to post funny stuff. That's because that gets exhausting. And then I think when you feel like you're obligated to post something, it kind of takes the joy out of it. So I like my page to just be whatever I want it to be. It's like, hey, this is my life. You guys are welcome on the journey. I hope it inspires you. I hope this part makes you laugh. And if you don't like it, then you don't come on, I'm good. That's your business. But I really do hope it inspires people. And I'm like, I love sharing different seasons of my life. I think whatever makes sense, whatever inspires, I'll definitely be more than happy to share.
Yeah. So let's go back to, the pandemic started, you started sharing more of your content, just being yourself, like you said, right? Just sharing your skits, but then also sharing who you are, right? And then is there like a specific video or a specific thing that happened? Like what triggered like this kind of growing community that you have now? Like what started to really build it where you were like, oh, this is actually happening. Like this is real. This is going to be my thing now.
I think it was just a little bit before the pandemic because remember
Okay.
it was my content was doing decent before, especially as a content creator that wasn't, my numbers weren't really up there. But when TikTok happened, I want to say it was one of the videos, maybe the difference between how African parents listen to gossip, when their neighbors are arguing versus American. So I
Oh,
think
yeah.
the Ross video did really well too. African moms missing Ross and things like that. So from then on, like man, it was just skyrocket. And I think there was one that the Shade Room. I think they posted either two or three of my videos. And so whenever you're posted, really it was Kev on Stage. I remember one time Kev on Stage posted a video, and I think the next day I think I grew by like 8K, and the Shade Room did as well. So I think together it was about 10K, and I was like, wow, social media can grow like this. Okay, well, I never knew it, but it was just really cool. So I was like, wow, okay, we're doing it. But even with that, I still wanted to make sure that this was fun and it remains fun for me.
Mm.
Because like I said, my page is just like you on your personal page. You're just sharing, So I did not want to do stuff for the validation of people and for the likes, right? I really just shared the stuff that I liked. And I'm like, okay, cool. This is something that will probably make my friends laugh. And then when I look at social media, it's just sharing it with a larger audience. But I knew I wanted to keep it fun. I wanted to keep it light, and I did not want it to become a chore. So once I saw that numbers were kind of going up and more attention was coming to the page, I was like, okay, these are my boundaries. I'm not going to post even if somebody say, oh, do this, do this. If I don't feel it, if it's not me, I'm not doing it. If this brand says, oh, post this, want you to do this, X, Y, Z. If it's not me, I'm not doing it. And so I think by setting those boundaries, it has kept it fun because it becomes a prison when you feel obligated to post something and you're like, oh my gosh, my followers, what would they? I don't even use that word, you know. Or you have some people that are scared to take a break, a social media break, because they're like, oh, I don't want to lose followers, or they're just posting stuff. I know some people that, or I've seen some people that just post content, and you can tell like they're just doing it just so they can kind of keep their numbers and views up. I'm like, listen, if I'm gonna take a break, I'm gonna take a break, right? And if I come back, if you're there, you're there. Because like I said, I just post what's fun for me. If you like, stay. If you like, go. It is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good and very helpful, I think, for creatives too, because it is hard. Like, on one hand, you want to keep working on your craft and like you want to keep sharing, but you can work on your craft without necessarily sharing with your community or sharing with your social media page or whatever. So I think it is tricky, especially because a lot of creatives do want to share and build their platform, build an online community and stuff like that. But what you're saying is like find a way to do it but still be yourself, or like find a way to make sure that you are maintaining your boundaries and you're not overwhelming yourself by trying to please people, people that followers, or trying to appeal to the masses, right? Just because you want to grow. So that's an interesting perspective, because a lot of times you're told like just keep posting, keep posting, keep posting, which like consistency is good, but at the same time you don't want to, if it's at the if it ends up taking away from you being yourself, then is it really worth it? So yeah.
And I think too, you have to find out what is your purpose behind all these posts. So for me, I want my page to, like I said, be fun, but I also want it to, glorify God, right? That is my
Mm-hmm.
main. So if posting is taking me away from time from God, then I'm being counterproductive, or it's just not making sense. And so whenever I feel like I'm posting a little too much and I'm kind of neglecting spending time with God, then I'm like, okay, maybe I'll do like a 7 day break. Won't go on. So like even today, I'm like, I'm not going on social media. I just, and it gives me time to edit and even become more creative. And so I think for others, if their goal is like, oh my gosh, I want famous, I want like that is what their identity is, and they put that on a pedestal, then that's when you have people really doing whatever it takes to get there. Whether it's, losing their integrity, stepping on people's backs, posting just stuff just because, becoming obsessed with numbers. And I'm just like, I can't do that. That's not me. I'm I'm one of those. Plus, also, it doesn't really take somebody to have 1 million followers for them to be noticed. All you
Mm-hmm.
need is that one person. You can have 8,000 followers, and Keenan, is it Keenan Peele or Jordan Peele? And he can see a video on YouTube randomly,
That's
right? So you don't need 1 million followers to for doors to open. You just need that one person. And so that's my thing. I'm like, God, wherever you're gonna take it there. But at least let the right person see it, because the million may not be able to do anything for you, but that one person can.
wow. That's a word. That's a word. And I want to touch on the faith aspect in a second, but I do want to talk about the fact that you, like you said, like it just takes one person, and you, from what I've seen, like you do respond to a lot of people in your comments and stuff. Like I think that it's clear that your focus isn't on building numbers per se or anything like that. Like it really is on people, like
Yeah.
and like you said, glorifying God. And of course, what does God love more than his people, right? And people, right? So, and that's what you do in your page. You respond to comments, you make jokes and stuff with people in the comments. Like I'll see them and I'm like, oh, she's so sweet. Like this is who she really is. So that's awesome. Like, do you find yourself like intentionally trying to build community in that way, which I think is important. Like I think engaging with people online, like like you would in person, if someone came up to you and said something, like you wouldn't ignore them, like you would talk back to them. So like you're
Yeah.
very social on social media, which is great. So like do you intentionally build community, and like what advice would you give creatives who are trying to build that kind of community online?
You know what? It's crazy. I had a friend that sent me a video, and the video was talking about engagement and how you need to be like engaging with people and all these things, which is important. But to me, the video kind of came off as you need to engage with them so that whenever you're ready to sell a product, they're ready to buy. And it just kind of made
Yeah.
people seem like numbers, and I was like, I'm not really feeling that. And it may work for others, but I guess when I respond to comments, I'm not like, okay, I need to build this community so that when, what I'm saying, I'm just like, they're people. And to be honest with you, my laughs come from the comment section. So if I post a video
Yeah.
and people may see something or point out something, or even if it's something I know I did, when they point it out, it's just funnier. I don't know. And so that's where I get my laughs. But at the same time, I set boundaries because I can't be responding to 1,000. I don't
Oh
want to stay
yeah.
on social media that long. So I usually go through and see, like, if it's just a laughing emoji, I'm not going to respond to it. But if somebody's really saying something, then I'm like, yeah, that's funny. Like, it doesn't take that much, and I've noticed that some content creators, when maybe they start getting blue check marks commenting, they'll only respond to the blue check marks. And you know what? Listen, people have the right to do whatever they want to do. I'm just going to respond to what I want to respond to, and for me, it's really those. I mean, the blue check mark people, they're great, but it's really the ones that don't have the check mark. Those are the ones that push your stuff out, and so I don't know, I just like people, and but at the same time I'm only one person, and I thought about having somebody, run that account, but I was like, no, I want to be the one responding. They can run other accounts, but I just want to respond. And whether it's DMs, I don't answer every single thing. I just kind of sift through and answer the ones that make sense. And yeah, and if somebody's asking a genuine question and I have time, I don't mind answering.
Yeah. And I think it shows that like everything you're saying is like over and over again being genuine, which I feel like comes through your videos, your stories too, like where you're just talking and you're just being yourself. And yes, like I feel like I'm the same way. Like I run to the comments when I see something funny. I'm like, "Oh, I got to see what everyone what everyone commented, because yeah, it's hilarious." But that's really good. And again, yeah, being genuine, I think when building community, that's so important, and I think you do a really good job of that. So that inspired me. Like I'm the same, similarly to you. Like I'm a people person. Like when I meet people, I'm like, let's be friends. Like let's chat. Let's have conversations. So
Yeah.
that's why to me social media is fun in that sense. Like you just get to talk. You can meet people. You can talk to people that you would never have been able to meet otherwise. But at the same time, I love that you keep that boundary up. Like, okay, can't be on here forever. So
Right, right. So I don't see everything, but for the most part, if I just drop the video, then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna, I'll step away and then come back and kind of look at the comments, laugh a little bit, respond. Absolutely. So
yeah,
I'll do my best in I think. So I don't see everything.
that's okay. Yeah. And so to go back to the faith piece, I think I one of the things that is very clear in your content too is that you have this relationship with God, which shows in like all your comedy is clean, and very, just very real, but very family friendly. And then you're also you talk about your faith, you talk about trusting God and confidence in God as well. And so what does it look like to you, like I guess, like how has your faith affected your mindset when it comes to being creative and like choosing to use this gift and make the most of it?
Honestly, with this gift, it's made me realize that God has a sense of humor. God is funnier than what most people think. Because I'll just be sitting down and I'll just get an idea and I'll just start cracking up, and I'm like, I know this is from God. And so for me, it's important. And you know what? It's crazy because I mean, I used to be a little mean before, I ain't gonna lie, but I still had like I still was a funny person, but I just was not using it in the right way. And so now with the comedy, it's just like I don't care to be vulgar. I don't care to do like raunchy things. It's just not really in me. For those that do, hey, more power to. But it's just not me. And so I love the fact that I can get creative ideas, genuinely funny ideas that don't really need to include all that. Now I will roast some people. Now I will roast some people, But even with the roast, it's not to like tear them down. It's just to be like, okay,
Yeah.
it is what it is. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. It's you're not compromising your values,
right.
for the
But
sake
I'm
of
saying,
content.
listen, I laugh, girl. I laugh. I will not.
Oh
Like
yeah.
there's Christians that they just are just screws and they don't laugh. Okay, well I'm gonna laugh. So
Oh yeah. No, guys, she's still funny. She's hilarious. Yes, but
right,
she does not, but at the same time, like you do not compromise, which is really cool to see because, whether people want to be, writers or actors, singers, whatever creative might be listening to this, you can do that and you can still keep it in perspective that this is a gift that God's given you, and you can use it without having to compromise your values. Like I think that's a good reminder, because sometimes, yeah, it can
yeah.
be hard.
What I've realized, there's some ideas that God has given me that actually don't even have anything to do with African, African aunties. Don't have anything to do with the church, but it's still genuinely funny. But it kind of pushes that line, but it's not quite there. Like
Hmm.
it's still good, and you get what I'm trying to say without all the extra stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
so
So you said ideas God has given me. So like, do you feel like, I just think that that's a really great term. Like, I don't know, like, how do you know or decipher, like, this is, a path God has really put me on? Like, this is what He's calling me to do next. Like, for instance, like a brand deal or something like that, or, um, creating a certain piece of content, which you kind of touched on. But I think a lot of people would like to know when it comes to hearing from God and involving God in your creative process and, like, what that looks like for you.
I would say, well, spending time with God is important because then how do I hear God if I don't know what His voice sounds like? But then also just making sure to, I guess how do I say this? Spend time with Him. Lost my train of thought. Hold on.
You're
I
good.
had something. Uh, wait, repeat the question one more time. I
Yeah,
went blank.
so how does like including God in your creative process look for
Ooh,
you? Mm-hmm.
for me, it really is just I don't know. I just get an idea, and for the most part, I have peace about it. You know that there's some that I'm like, well, I don't know if I should do that, or maybe it's just not time yet, so I can kind of wait. You know, but even when it comes to brand deals, when it's a brand that is, if I can just tell sometimes people they want to stress me. I don't do unnecessary stress, and if it's just not giving me peace, I feel like I'm just doing a little bit too much, then it's okay to say no. I remember a radio company reached out to me and they wanted me to do an ad, and they were paying really well. But they wanted me to do some like music that I don't really listen to this, And it's not that I only listen to Christian music. I listen to my Afro beats too, child. But what they were asking me to do, I'm like, I'm not. I wouldn't be the best person for this. So I feel like I would be doing myself a disservice, and I would be dishonest to make a video about this and saying, "Oh, this is how I'm so passionate about this, these artists, and this." It's not me,
Yeah.
So as much as I looked at that money amount, I said, "God, do I really use this?" But it just didn't make sense because in whatever I'm doing, I still want it to be just authentically me, and it has to make sense. So
Yeah.
if God
Yes.
is not giving me peace about it, then it's okay. There because more opportunities are going to come.
Amen. Yes. What you just said again goes back to the authenticity piece, which is interesting because when you think about, you're being real, you're being yourself, you're being genuine, you're trying to be authentic, you're walking in faith, right? And it's like you're doing the right things, because you're just being you and you're being who God's called you to be. But at the same time, I think that there's a quote, I don't know if you've heard it, where it's like, if okay, I'm not even gonna quote this even close to perfectly, but it's basically like, if everybody likes you or like everybody agrees with what you're doing, then there's a chance maybe you're not doing the right thing, you know what I mean, or like you're not standing for anything, right? So I think because you're being yourself and you're being real and you're being authentic, I want to know, like, I'm sure you face like opposition, whether it's online, whether it's people in your life, like, because you're like, this is who I am, this is what I'm doing, this is the content I'm creating, this is how I believe God is leading me. How do you deal with opposition that you may face because you're being yourself?
Girl, everybody is not for me, and I'm not for everybody. And I just realized that everybody on the internet is gets to be unapologetically themselves. They get to
Mm,
be. They say, "Hey, I'm this. This is what I believe. I'm that." But as soon as I want to share something about God or share something that does not really that maybe somebody may not like, then of course, the internet will get a little offended, or they'll want to kind of rebuttal. And my thing is like, listen, to each their own. If you get to be unashamed and say this is this is what you believe, or that's just you, then I get to be me. And I realize that I'm not here to be liked by everybody. I feel like naturally when you do comedy, a lot of people will laugh with you. But I'm looking at, when I look at the amount of followers I have, I'd be a fool to think that 191,000 people are my friends or they wish me the best or whatever the case may be. Now most probably do, but you have some that just follow you to they're hoping for your downfall, and they follow you to see what you're gonna do wrong next so they can cancel you. But you have monitoring spirits, but at the end of the day, I'm like, listen, I just want to God is the one that I'm working to please. And so that is really what I'm going based off of. And I'm not here to please man or you'll never do that if you live by people's if you live by their compliments, you die by their criticisms. And so I just like to live a peaceful life. I said, God, this is what you want me to do? Cool. If they don't like it, then there are other pages and other, I guess, social media comedians and content creators that will resonate with them. So
beautiful. That was like golden.
I tweeted something that this one guy was not, I guess he wasn't feeling. This is on Twitter. Twitter is the space for the easily offended. Everybody wants to be, and even when I tweet things, if I feel passionate about something, I still want to make sure that it has, grace and it's not harsh, but at the same time, I'm like, hey, this is not right. And so for him, he wasn't feeling that. He was just like, oh, I'm gonna, I usually like your content, but I'm thinking I'm gonna unfollow you. I said, me, did I know you? I followed me before. Do what will give you peace. Do what is best for your mental health. I don't know why people feel like they have to announce that. It just like just unfollow. It's okay.
Right. Yeah. That's so, oh my gosh, that's first of all, that's hilarious because um that's one person out of like thousands, and the fact, like you said, the fact that he had to announce it, you're just like, okay, like before I'm called, like what was I supposed to do before, but yeah, social media is crazy. I'm not on Twitter, and
It's probably best.
I thank God sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, like I feel like it would be too much, but yeah, it.
I think maybe one of those that I may kind of let go, and then
Mhm.
plus I feel like it causes you to just kind of ramble and just say random things without, rhyme or reason. So I think
Yeah.
my days on Twitter are gonna slowly decrease.
Well, I think you're really good about, like you said, like adding grace, and I feel like you're just very like disciplined and like this is what I'm going like you have boundaries, which
Yeah.
is really good to see. Like this is what I'm going to allow in. This is what I'm not going to allow into my mental space, my emotional space. Like this is not going to work here. This is what's going to work here. So I think that's really admirable and good for us to see like aspiring creatives or people who are creating content regularly or just putting themselves out there as artists, because art without people, it's like you can create content all you want and like be funny and like that's wonderful, like we enjoy it as artists, like we love doing what we do, but like I can sing in my room all day long and that's fun, like I enjoy that, but there's something different about being on stage, there's something about like connecting to an audience and connecting to people, so it's like you do have to put yourself out there, you do have to like you know have like you need other people to really fully enjoy art sometimes, I feel like, so yeah,
Right.
I
And
think you do a good job with that. Mhm.
what's crazy is that I'm more of an introvert now. Well, I'll say now I'm like an ambivert. So when I'm with my friends, I am just crazy. In fact, they even thought it was me. But the average person, I'm like, okay, like I'm personable though, but I'm not. I don't let people in just like that. I don't call everybody friend right away. And so with social media, it's just like in fact, it was even kind of giving me a little bit of anxiety because I'm like, oh God, this is a lot. Like, sometimes it's like you just want to go someplace and just be quiet. But I realized that it's a blessing to have. And I do love people. But for me, I had to get out of that space of um I just have to be like, listen, girl, you got the platform. What are you gonna do with it? Instead of saying, oh God, not me. I'm more shy. I'm this and that, and trying to downplay stuff. And I realized that okay, but if God is calling you to do something, then you need to do it. It's not about you being shy or whatever. If He's giving you the platform, He's entrusted you with it. Who are you to tell God who He needs to give this to, or maybe oh it's not me, maybe you should have given it to somebody else. Like who are you to tell God that? And so I think I kind of struggle with a little bit of the Moses syndrome, but now I'm realizing that okay, God, just whatever you want to do.
Wow, that's so good. I don't think anyone would ever guess that you were shy from your videos.
Oh
So,
no, girl. Well, no, I'm not a shy person anymore. I'm more reserved. So
yeah,
I'm not
yeah,
gonna come into the reception hall doing a backflip and doing all this and trying to be in the circle. No, I like to observe people, but then I also like to talk to people as well. So
yeah,
I can have a good conversation, But it is those that know me that they see more of what people see on social media. That's a part of me that my close friends get to see, and so I'm just sharing it with the world. So
yeah,
I tell people all the time, listen, I'm not like that in person right away. I'm like that, but not right away.
yeah, yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. Thank you for letting us see that because we love it and it's inspiring to us. So,
Thank you.
yeah, I think I would love to know what you have coming up. If you want to share with people, like, do you have projects that you're excited about, videos that you're excited about making that we can look forward to? Because everyone listening to this needs to go follow you. We'll get to that in a second, but like, we need to keep up with what you're doing and cheer you on as you continue to use your gifts and continue to create great stuff.
Thank you. So, I mean, I'll be leaving Columbia soon here. Not too soon. I have like 2 months left, but After this, I'll be back home in Houston, working, grinding, trying to pay off these student loans. I'm gonna be debt free by my next birthday, Jesus name.
Amen.
But even with that, there are so many skits that I've been wanting to record since, but I haven't been able to, just being here. And so I'm excited to really record those. And those are the ones that have nothing to do with African culture, nothing. Because, like I said, even though that is what I'm good at, I'm not just funny as an African. God has given me the gift overall. So I'm really excited to get into those. And also, I will be launching my podcast in the month of May by God's grace. So yes, so I've recorded some episodes. I'm having my assistant just kind of edit them for me, and it's a little nerve wracking, But I'm excited to be back in Houston, so then I can kind of do more in person sessions. I have a whole vision for it. So, but for now, I'm gonna work with what I have and just start from there. Because if you push it too long, you're waiting for perfection. You're never gonna start. So let me start with what I have, and then we'll grow from there. So yes,
Wow.
girl.
I'm so excited for you. I'm excited to see your skits upcoming. I'm excited to see to listen to the podcast. Yes. Okay. Definitely everyone needs to go follow Beverly so that we can all see when she's doing all these things. We all need to get on it. We all need to be listening to her podcast when it comes out. That's awesome. I'm so happy for you and I'm excited for you.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much. I'm excited for you, and I just pray that God will increase your audience and use this podcast for His glory and just grow. You seem like a very genuine individual, and I just pray that you find the right people to interview, and then just that God blows your mind with what He's going to do with your podcast. So I'm excited.
Amen. Amen. Now they're really praying for me. Wow, I receive it. Thank you. That was a blessing. Really though. Thank you so much. Amen. Amen. Please tell us where we can find you. Tell us all your links and everything, and I'll put them in the show notes so everyone can go to them directly. But let us know where we can find you and keep up with everything that you're doing.
So on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, it is Beverly Adaeze. That's BeverlyAdaeze on all those platforms. Twitter too, which I made. I don't know if I want to hold on to Twitter, but it's the same on Twitter as well.
All right, perfect. That's easy. I'll make sure I put all of that in the show notes. Thank you so much for being here, Beverly. You've been a blessing to everyone. You've been a blessing to me. I've been smiling this whole time because you've been smiling and you have a beautiful smile and you're so kind. So thank you so much for sharing your story and giving advice. Oh, real quick. Oh my gosh, I almost forgot my favorite question. If you had one piece of advice for creatives, for the creative, the actor, aspiring comedian, aspiring content creator, who's listening, what advice would you give them?
It's gonna be just one. Let me just sum it up. I will say, first be yourself, and instead of trying to be like everybody else, be yourself. And put out what you're passionate about, what you enjoy doing. Even if one day it gets 12 views, still put it out. If you really enjoy it and God has given you a vision, put it out. Because let me tell you, those videos that you put out, it's kind of like an investment. So be consistent, put them out, because what happens with your content is it might just take that one video to just hit and just to stick, and then you'll have this audience and they will go back and watch all of your other stuff. So keep putting your stuff out there and be consistent, and be yourself, because people can tell. People can tell when you're authentically you. And in a world where social media wants, they're telling you, oh, you're not good enough, oh, hate yourself, oh, you need to dress like this, or oh, you need to fit this aesthetic. It's just refreshing to see people who are themselves. So I would encourage everybody to just be yourself. That's it.
That was so beautiful, and that was amazing advice. Thank you so much, Beverly. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you, my night justice. I really do appreciate you being here. God bless you. Can't wait to see what God has in store for you. Thank you.
Thank you, girl. It was a pleasure.
Oh my gosh, wasn't Beverly amazing? Okay, all of you need to make sure you go follow her. Go follow her. All of her information is down below. I need you to make sure that you are in her space and keep supporting her because she is awesome, okay? I'm going to also read out the question that one of our listeners asked and Beverly's answer, okay? So, one of our listeners asked, how did you become comfortable with being a creative? Great question, I think. And Beverly answered, it was hard to break free from the cultural path my parents and Nigerian culture set out for me, But once I realized that God is the creative creator, it allowed me to be comfortable with the gift he has given me. So good. What a beautiful answer. Thank you so much for sharing that, Beverly. And thank you for that question. That question was from Ifem. Ife Wins, who I've had on the show before. She's amazing. You should also go follow her. So thank you for that question. I really, really appreciated that answer as well because, and I think that Beverly talked like hit on that in the episode as well. And I think it's really something that we can all learn from. Like I definitely learned from her just hearing her say that and hearing her talk about that. Yeah, being comfortable with the gift he's given us and being able to really embrace it, right? Knowing that God is the creative creator. He's the one who's placed it in you, right? He is the one who's given you the gifts that you have as a creative. So whether you always feel comfortable with it or not, just like Beverly said, knowing that God is the one who put it in you is what's going to give you that ability to embrace that gift. So I hope that helps. I'm so grateful that you're here. Again, thank you so much for listening, and I will see you next week. Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of Creatively by Estelle. I hope you feel encouraged by today's episode as you start this week. And if you have a moment, I would love for you to just share this episode with a friend if you liked it or with someone who you think this could be encouraging to. It would really help this show. Also, if you really loved this episode, if you wouldn't mind going to Apple Podcasts and leaving a review and rating this show, it would really help us reach more people through this show and grow our Creatively community. All right, thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next week.